An important role in every company these days is the Chief Information Security Officer, or CISO. We'll be talking to the host of the Professional CISO Podcast next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is The Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, 20 years ago, you would just have an IT guy look over the corporate security of your systems. Well, these days, with cyber hacking being what it is, every company is now starting to graduate these IT people into a senior level or C-suite level. It's called the Chief Information Security Officer. And David Malicoat is in the studio. He's the host of the Professional CISO Podcast. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, tell us more about the progression of this profession, because, I mean, am I right? This role is becoming more and more important.
Yes. Originally came out of the Chief Information Officer role, and ultimately was the folks that took care of tech, right? And as cyber threats begin to increase and cyber risks begin to increase to a business, you found that you had to have a person over the organization to help manage that technology risk. And so the Chief Information Security Officer was born. I think it really kind of got born in the government/military sector initially, but ultimately it came up, and now you're seeing, if you're a company and you don't have a Chief Information Security Officer, you're really kind of behind the ball at this point.
Absolutely. And when I was in TV news, I would have killed for your voice. They call it the voice of God in news.
Thank you.
So he has been doing podcasting now for several months, and he's just a consummate pro. Let's show a clip from the first episode.
All right, I don't know what time it is on your clock, but I know what I'm getting ready for. It is time for the Professional CISO Podcast with David Malicoat.
Welcome to the Professional CISO Podcast. My name is David Malicoat, and I'm your host. This show is an exploration of those topics necessary to transform the CISO role into one of a professional. Ultimately, I think we can all agree, or at least I hear quite a bit of this, is CISOs are missing from C-suites and boardrooms. Main issue is we're not at the table. We're not at those tables having those critical discussions when those critical issues come up in organizations. And we should be. I truly believe that we should be. But we do have a tech risk dilemma. We have high stakes, and obviously we're seeing with the SEC and a lot of the enforcement actions that are happening now. We got high stakes and low recognition. So we're dealing with major tech risks on behalf of our organizations, yet we're sidelined, generally speaking, as a group.
So David, you made a great point there. Let's drill down a little deeper. So if they did have a seat at the table, they would have firsthand information on everything that the company's thinking about doing.
Correct. You're talking strategy at that point. You're talking what's the direction of the business. For Chief Information Security Officers, they've grew up technical, and it's really not their fault. That was their success metric as they've developed over the years. The trajectory of the development of the CISO role has been light speed comparatively to other executives.
Sure.
And so now we're finding it's at a tipping point where now you have to be more strategic, you have to have more business acumen, you have to have more business savvy and understand, and so it goes more away from the technical. And so it's that piece that I'm addressing with the podcast, to be able to help get ourselves aligned and moved up that to where we're ready to have those conversations and take our seat at the table.
Absolutely. I want to take you back to the pandemic, because I have to imagine that every company on the planet was having to quickly figure out, okay, how do we do this remotely?
Yes.
Which creates a whole myriad of problems for cybersecurity.
Yes.
When everybody's logging in from home. What happened to your profession during COVID?
We suddenly got the spotlight very, very quickly. The move from what I would call perimeter security, or they can particularly defense in depth, now gets pulled outside. Most of the time we had all of our resources inside the company, and it was in this nice little bubble, and it got moved out very, very quickly. And so folks like us got put on the skyline to say, hey, how do we do this? How do we do it quickly? How do we do it effectively? And most importantly, how do we do it securely?
Yes. David's a great communicator, as you can tell, and he's had to do it in front of audiences as well. So we've got some video of a digital fight club. I'd never heard of this before. So tell us what a digital fight club is.
So Digital Fight Club originally started in the marketing space with Mike Pratt. Shout out to Mike Pratt, great guy. He's in marketing. It's his concept, his idea. I got pulled in as a sub for Digital Fight Club and on Dallas Startup Week a few years ago. And then it grew from there to have our own Digital Fight Club Cyber, where we've had 2 events last year and more coming.
So give me, in this particular talk, what were you debating?
So we were debating data security in this particular talk, and you get rounds, so you can't speak when the other person's speaking, and the audience judges who wins this, so they do it by applause. So it's pretty cutthroat.
Nice.
Fun, by the way, it's a great time, but you have to listen to the other person's argument and then really come back with a counter. You have a few rounds of that. And then you get some tough questions from some really top executives sitting over there on the right, if you see on the screen, and then that audience votes who wins. Which again, you're in the moment, in the flash. The lights are bright. I can say that.
Okay, you're allowed to gloat. Did you win?
I did. It was a great time, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. Andrew is a great guy as well. The guy that I fought, we had a great debate. It was a lot of fun, and the community really supports it. I think that's the big piece. There's nothing else like it out there.
Wow. Okay, let's talk about the future. Because I feel like we're just getting started with this role.
Yes,
like
we are.
When I learned about you from a mutual friend, I was like, I need to Google this. I mean, CISO, what is CISO? Right. So do you run into people who's like, okay, what is CISO?
Yes, I actually all the time. So when I tell folks that I'm a CISO, they kind of give that quizzical look. And I explain to them that I'm basically in charge of the cybersecurity for an organization. That's the easiest way to put it for the non-technical folks. Now, as we talk about the progression, we say, okay, not only am I in charge of the technical security, but now where we're moving into is I am the chief advisor for technical risk to the organization.
Yes.
And that's a transformation that we're looking to have happen.
And as you look out to the future in your crystal ball, for your organization, do you see national conferences, international conferences where people are flying in, or what do you envision?
For the professional CISO, what I want to do is I want to be a place where CISOs, as well as our stakeholders, which would be CEOs, CFOs, board members, can come and share thought leadership and drive our conversation forward. Because we know right now we're not where we need to be. So as far as that goes, yes, I think the broad exposure that I can get to get the right people on, and I say the right people, but the right amount of people, to get in front of more people, to get in front of and have those critical conversations in a way that builds our community is really what I'm after. So whatever that may look like, because again, it's only been a few months.
Yeah.
This went from ideation in October of 2023 into the first podcast dropping in the early February of 24. So a lot of this has moved pretty quick. So to have a grand plan, and I did have one of my key friends and mentors say, don't find yourself 10 years from now where you've just gone down the river on the raft. Make sure that you're steering that thing and you know where it goes. So
nice.
We're getting there. I think we're in a place now where we've gotten over that first hump, and now we're getting more of a strategic plan put into place.
Awesome. Okay, in the 2 minutes or so we have left, talk to that CISO out there who wants to get plugged into your community. The first way, I guess, they could subscribe to your podcast.
Yes, first way is subscribe to the Professional CISO Podcast. We are on YouTube, so for I would say the younger folks that like to watch the videos rather than listen in the car, maybe on the commute. Also on Spotify and Apple. And I'm prominent on LinkedIn, I can say that. So reach out to me, I'll connect with you, and you will definitely see the post around on what's going on with the Professional CISO on LinkedIn.
Outstanding. You've been a great guest. We're going to end with the LinkedIn page. the great David Malicoat. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.